Hello, for the third week of Easter, using the first reading from the Acts of the Apostles, 3, verses 13 to 19, and the Gospel Luke 24, 35 to 48. And it has to do with Jesus saying he's not a ghost, but he's a human, he's resurrected, he's alive. As it opens there in the Gospel, it says, "A ghost does not have flesh and bones, as you see I have." Jesus took on flesh. They killed his flesh. And he rose again with a new body, the resurrected body, with a new flesh. So I'd like to just look at that concept of flesh. Human flesh. Horse flesh. Well, this is the weekend that I do a Mass out at Keeneland, and every year when I do a Mass out at Keeneland, I do a Keeneland homily. And it has to do with horse flesh and human flesh and Jesus Christ, who had human flesh. Well, to get started, as far as in that first reading, it's saying, "You have killed the author of life." And that's what it says. The author of life, you have put to death. This Jesus, who is God, sent by the Father, and came upon earth, taking on a body, human flesh. You have killed the author of life. And so they did. I think we interpreted the cause of his death wrong for many years. We basically blamed everything on the Jews. They killed Christ, which they did. But the ultimate reality is not the Jews. The ultimate reality is you and I and the whole world and the whole history of the world killed the body of Jesus Christ. We were the cause of his death. And even in he dying, being sacrificed, sacrificing himself, we come to life again in and through Jesus Christ. So, yes, the Jews did kill the body of Jesus, but deep down and ultimately, we killed. And in a sense, we ought to be appalled for doing that. Human flesh. Well, something out here at Keeneland, there's something important, and sometimes people treat it as more important than human flesh. It's horse flesh. All of these thoroughbreds, who are the best of all horses, and many people think best of all animals, we respect the champions, the champion horses of the major races, the Kentucky Derby, or the Triple Crown. And we get excited in simply thoroughbreds racing, the best of the horse flesh, racing around and becoming that winner, that cherished animal. How much respect do we have for our pets, cats and dogs and gerbils and so forth, we become to love? How much respect do we have for Manowar, American Pharaoh, or whatever thoroughbred that has won much money? We forget about how much money we lose when we go out to those races. But one time when I was out Keeneland, many years ago, I was betting, of course, and I bet on this number 7. And number 7 led almost all the way around. And when number 7 came into the stretch run, halfway down the stretch run, the horse's front legs both broke and the horse tumbled and never even finished the race. This was the horse I bet on. I'll never forget the hush that came over the crowd and the feeling in the crowd for this poor, innocent, thoroughbred horseflesh that we all respected. Of course, then all the horse ambulance, and they went out and they put the covers around, the walls, the covers around the horse, and they anesthetized the horse. I've never felt, being in big a crowd of that, where some people, all people, that we had this emotion, this feeling that they're putting down this animal flesh. Well, so to a certain extreme, the people in the early church, they respected Jesus, the human Jesus, who was divine, and they were uptight that the human Jesus was killed as a criminal with capital punishment. And so they let the people know that you killed the author of all life. My point is this: what if we respected humans as we respected some of our best pets? What if we respected the humans with their dignity and their goodness and being created in the image and likeness of God, the way we respect these thoroughbreds? I think that's really important. If you can see this human flesh of Jesus, who said, "Look at me, I'm not a ghost." And he says, "Give me something to eat." A ghost doesn't eat. A ghost doesn't have a body. A ghost doesn't have bones. Give me something to eat. And they did. And this early church believed in this resurrected Jesus who took his body back in a whole new way that they didn't even recognize, but in a whole new way, but he still took on flesh. And his flesh is the most sacred of all flesh. That having him identify with human flesh, which means identification with you and me, and when he gave of himself in sacrifice for the sins of the world, you and me, and when he died for all people, past, present, and future, and when we killed the author of life, think about it. That's the Easter message. That Jesus Christ, the Son of God, who was sent by his Father to a world to take on human flesh, and they were the author of all life, and in and through that, Jesus saved the world. At least that's what I get out of the resurrected body of Jesus Christ. He was the best. He was the greatest. He was the most thoroughbred Triple Crown winner, is minuscule in comparison to the Jesus, the Christ. And he identified with the whole human race, what raised the whole human race in dignity and forgiveness. That's the resurrected Christ. That's the Easter message. Think about these readings. They're pretty powerful. And they will lift your mind and heart to God and reality. Have a good day.